careful how you protest, because if you're not careful how you protest, you end up creating the very thing that you protest. And back on TDV with another reflection coming at you from here in Los Angeles. And I'm not going to say the TDV. We're not back on the TDV because that'd be redundant. We're back with another reflection on TDV. And today's reflection is, I've been thinking about these words from Ram Dass recently. He was saying, what a titan of questioning. 60s, 70s, all the way until a few years ago, until his passing. But 60s and 70s and 80s, he was so ahead of the game. And doing it with no internet, no access at our fingertips that we all have to not just information, but man, the last 2 years with AI to ask it anything about philosophy. It's ridiculous. Einstein had that quote of, the only thing you need to know is where the local library is. In other words, you can find out anything if you know that fact. If you sign up for that $20 a month ChatGPT subscription, you get access to more information than any library than all libraries combined. It's ridiculous. And for Ram Dass to find these insights kind of just in the dark, feeling around, going to India, just driving around, it's quite stellar. The thing that he said in a lecture in the 80s that I've been thinking about the last few days, is he said, be careful how you protest, because if you're not careful how you protest, you end up creating the very thing that you protest. And this guy was a veteran protester. He was at the tip of the spear of protesting for a lot of societal change. But he would look at different protests, rallies, see riots. What an incisive point that those movements end up creating the very thing that they think they're there to stop. You see the president that we have in the White House today. You can draw a direct line from the Black Lives Matter protests, riots that happen a block from here in Los Angeles, smashing windows. You can see a direct line from protests saying defund the police to more funding for the police a year later. You can see a direct line for people fighting for racial equality and doing it in a way that then stirs up, wakes a sleeping giant of white America being like, well, if I'm always racist, I can't do anything about it, then maybe we'll rally together and I'm only going to see race now because that's what I've been reduced to. As someone that patently did not want this current president to be in the White House, I didn't really want the alternative either. I'm quite libertarian. But I did not want this version of a political movement to run the White House. But I see the direct effects. When other people had the microphones, see why it was inevitable. You reduce everybody to their race, and a majority is going to wake up, look at their skin, and say, okay, well, these are my people. And those other people, and they might have resisted it. But the 1,000th time that they're told that over the course of 4, 5, 6, 8 years, 1,000th time, they're like, all right, well, this is my group now. This is how I identify. That candidate looks like me. Okay, that's how I choose my candidates, because we've reduced society. It's like we moved backwards by 50 years. We've reduced society to identifying by these surface level attributes that you can't change. This isn't just relevant, in fact, to our day-to-day lives. It's barely relevant to federal politics, even local politics. Where this is most relevant in our day-to-day lives is the things that we push against, the things we protest with our actions, creating the very thing that we're trying to avoid. You project a certain identity on a coworker, on a boss, on an environment. I hate my job. I hate my job. I hate my job. I wish I wasn't in this job. I wish I didn't have to go into this job. I'm going to try to change how bad this job is by showing up a little late, by phoning it in. And you think, okay, that's given me a little bit more leeway, a little more comfort. I'm going to phone it in. I'm not going to try that hard. And it's going to give me a little bit more just energy, because I'm saving my energy instead of putting my all into my work. And it creates the exact opposite scenario. Now your boss is breathing down your neck, or you're fired. Now the pressure's on to find the next job, and now you certainly don't have a reference from the previous one. It's like your life narrows. It's what happens to addicts. They have a narrowing in perception to where they're like at the end, just homeless, looking for each new hit. And when we protest against the world, and we do it, and when we protest against the world and we don't do it carefully, thoughtfully, we're not seeking change in a thoughtful way. We're doing it in a juvenile, let's go riot kind of way. You have this narrowing. The walls close in. You think you're getting some elbow room for comfort, and it's just getting more and more and more and more and more uncomfortable. You protest against the sibling that bothers you, the parent relationship that bothers you. You protest by throwing mud, stiff-arming them. And then you create the adversarial relationship, the very thing that you're trying to avoid. You concretize it. You make it 2, 3, 4, 5 times stronger. So what does this philosophy say is a better approach? Well, to end conflict, one of the best things you can do is find out where the other person is right and say, you know what? You're right when you said XYZ yesterday. Or in the middle of the argument, you're always doing blah, blah, blah. And then you say, you find out the 5% that they're right. Maybe you only think it's 5%, but you find that and you genuinely look at that 5% and say, you know what? You don't have to repeat back, I am always doing XYZ, but you can say, you know what? You're right. I did do that XYZ yesterday. You know what? You're right. I have been feeling that way. Attach, you lose. Detach, you gain. When you're attached to a certain outcome, you think through force, and what is force is never forceful. Think through force. I'm going to change this person. I'm going to change this country through force. Oh, what is force is never forceful. And whatever you're attached to, it eludes you. It could be the dating game. It could be a startup you're starting. It could be a certain way you want your child to be, a certain way you want your sibling to be or a parent to be. The more attached, the more it eludes you, the more detached. Okay, yeah, this is how they are. Let me love them how they are. Let me pursue them, even though this is going to be uncomfortable. Let me go towards them. Oh man, saying, you know, you're right. That's going to be so uncomfortable. You go towards it. And as paradoxical as the thing you protest is the thing that you end up creating. Similarly, the thing that you embrace is the thing that you impact. That you actually have a shot at changing. We should all be careful in how we protest. Because we can see it in the world all around us, that these adversarial groups, I mean, it's only a matter of time before you have the opposite. The Black Lives Matter movement get louder and louder. And it's this reverberation that each side is just doing it so wrong. People are going to people. As Ramatirtha said, trying to fix the world is like trying to straighten a dog's tail. But you in your own life, one thing we can control is how we approach people, scenarios, communities, our work, and perhaps approaching it with force towards a specific outcome you're attached to isn't the move, isn't effective. And approaching it with a detachment, a submission to duty and service, irrespective of any outcome you're trying to aim for. Maybe it's almost so simple, too simple. Too easy, because we think there's no way just seeing the 5% that the other person's right and saying, you know what, you're right. There's no way that works. And yet you try it out. And it does. And you look at a life filled with trying out the alternative, just forcing and forcing and forcing, attaching more and more and more, and realizing, okay, whether this other approach is going to work or not, there's room for improvement, because the approaches I've tried in the past, I know when I've tried forcing, oh my God, the exact opposite thing that I want to happen happens. Be careful how we protest. It might create the very thing we're trying to change. That's today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. I'm going to go jump on the trampoline with the kids now.